Yo.
What's good?
All right, we back. Bit by bit, episode 9.
Yup, back in long hiatus. What you been up to? What happened?
Moving and grooving.
That wasn't on me. If y'all seen, this guy's been all over the world. He's been in, where's you? France, Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I've been here ready to record. So
He went to Turks for his birthday.
yeah, true.
So that was we haven't recorded in like month.
Yeah, a month or so.
Yeah, so this better be good. You owe them.
That's you. I've been ready. I ain't gonna lie, for a month now.
Nah, we real life had some technical difficulties
Yeah,
yesterday.
a couple.
Yeah, but it's all good. We gonna be all right. So yeah, what have we been up to? So we went to Turks for his birthday. How was Turks?
I ain't gonna lie, it was fun. Being said that, like, who we travel with, like, you know, me, you, Vic, Carlos, Marv, Eric, like, you know, the people you travel with make it fun. But I originally wanted to go to Brazil, but not everybody was trying to fly that far. But I just felt like, you know, Turks was like real ran down. Like, you know, the pictures you see on the internet, I'm thinking I'm finna
They about
walk.
to get on his ass. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm about
But
to
you're
walk
right.
into heaven on earth. Like, I thought everything was just gonna be like sandy and like the water's everywhere.
Based on what people be putting on the
Yeah,
internet.
like
Yeah.
you think like, okay, I thought it was like a long strip of road of just things, water's right there, and everything's luxurious.
You're kind of thinking like Tulum-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But on another luxurious level, like
the next level up.
yeah, but it
Have
was,
you realized there ain't no levels up above Tulum?
Nah, there's
Tulum is
not.
where it's at.
It seemed like it was like, I don't know, the airports ran down, everything was ran down there, and I got like recommendations to go there. Like Vic was like, we have to go there. Vic, you 0 for 2 right now, and you don't even realize that. But
Wait, he's over to
with
Dubai.
travel. Now,
Was it-
Dubai was 10 out of 10, but again, it's like who you go with matters, you know. But
What did he go wrong there?
I ain't even gonna go into all of that.
we
but-
don't gotta go there. We don't gotta go there.
But and then my girl, she told me Turks, she was saying it's 10 out of 10, but after experiencing it, she don't got no more say so in where we're going, where I'm going, because Turks, people overrated Turks. I ain't gonna
I mean,
lie.
I guess you can get some cool water pictures.
Yeah, the above sea view, that's it. Really, just out there is just
Hey,
Going
somebody on Twitter said, "I know those clear boats in Turks stink."
Nah, I'm sure they do, but I feel like there's nothing really to do besides going to the club or like
Going out.
going out or go on the water and what else? That's really it. And the food to me was cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if you want good food, maybe the better move would have maybe Jamaica, but I don't really got Jamaica too high on my list.
But besides like Turks itself, you have fun with the guys.
Yeah. It was a 10 out of 10 experience.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
every year for some strange reason, and all the guys, y'all can vouch for this when y'all watch this, but bro has 30 birthdays every year.
That's
like
cap.
he has more birthdays than anybody I know, so we threw him something here, and then we went to Turks, and then I don't know, but bro's birthday is all of April, so the Turks trip was dope. Like, I have fun because, you know, I got my brother, I got my friends, so that was dope. Like, I had a good time in Turks. Even though, like, what he's saying is right, that you don't really realize, like, the infrastructure isn't really built for you know, it's not what you think it is, because when you see people's photos, you see like
The water, yeah.
Yeah.
They purposely, I realize now, you've never on the internet seen any
somebody
city,
like traveling they're just sitting on the water.
Yeah, because they know not to show you that.
Yeah, facts. Okay, so what else you been up to?
Just learning, reading. Right now I'm reading The Creatures of Jekyll Island. It's basically a book about the Federal Reserve, how the Federal Reserve got incepted, and the ideologies around like the Federal Reserve, why it came about, what the people who structured the Federal Reserve, what they were thinking. And it just shows you like the whole system that we're in, the debt system and inflation system that we're in, is because of, you know, the banking system and the Federal Reserve coming about. So
Why do you think it was very important for them to even like set up a central bank and like basically have a monopoly on printing money?
just because it gives them unfair advantage. Like, you
And
know,
like, in what way?
like if you have the money printer, then you can make unlimited amount of money. So like either that's raising capital, or on your balance sheets you're holding loans out. So for bankers, the way they make money is by loaning money out, right? So if you have an unfair advantage, you can loan a limited amount of money out with no consequences
Yeah.
at that point. Or let's say for the government raising money, if you're trying to raise money and you don't have enough people buying these bonds or whatever the case may be, you always can rely on the Federal Reserve to come and pick those up. So
Yeah. So the government's kind of like, we have this big brother separate entity that could always come save us.
Yep.
But the person that ultimately pays the price is the everyday person.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the more money that they loan into existence or the government borrows from the Federal Reserve, the more money, that money eventually hits the economy, and then there's more inflation because you have X amount of new dollars fighting for the same 200 million houses or 100 million houses, however many million houses there are, right? So imagine if, let's just say the number 70 million houses. Let's say there's 70 million actual houses in America, right? And you have, I don't know, $15 trillion in circulation, then you can see like, all right, houses per dollar, right? And then how many of those dollars are actually going to find their way into housing. But when you go from $15 trillion to $30 trillion, and you're like, all right, the cost of the houses are going to go up, right? So, and then you go from 30 trillion to 100 trillion. So you just have a growing supply of money trying to go find, you know, its balance with a set amount of goods and services in the economy, and that sends the price up. So crazy, bro.
yeah, it's even crazy how they got together and thought every little thing through to give themselves that advantage. It wasn't a thing where they didn't know what the consequences would be. Like their thinking is just for themselves on what can we do to manipulate the system to benefit us the most.
So why do you think people haven't caught on to this? I mean, some people have, like the gold bugs have caught on to this, but why you think other people haven't caught on? Or like, why when you go talk about this stuff, you sound like a conspiracy theorist?
I think it's because the information can only be found in books, right? So if you go look up the Federal Reserve on Google, or if you go look it up on YouTube, they only say like the good things about the Federal Reserve, or like, oh, the Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States. You'll see these 2-minute videos, these 5-10 minute videos of people just explaining what the Federal Reserve does, but it doesn't explain what the Federal Reserve is
And if you
what like role they play into this game.
Yeah. So if you think about it, a lot of like, let's say banks or financial institutions that would even go, you know, produce research papers, they benefit from the game. You got what I'm saying? Like, you're benefiting from the broken system, so you kind of don't have an incentive. But the gold bugs caught it a long time ago. And the people who've been storing their money in gold, obviously they're doing well, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
But then, you know, we come along with Bitcoin, and then you kind of like, half of the thing is we're saying the same. It's the same problem that the gold bugs have identified. We just have a different solution, a better solution. And some people will still look at you like you're a conspiracy theorist, and you're like, all Bitcoin is calling cap on the whole like global economic system, right? Like, you're saying like, so you mean to tell it's the Keynesian way of viewing economics, and you say, so you mean to tell me you think you could just keep making money forever? Okay, cool. Like, here's a limited supply of money.
And people don't realize that also that goes into like what we always say is like traditional finance. Like, people build their livelihoods off what they give you, like from the system. You know, like, you know, we use analogy, like if somebody steals your stuff and they're helping you find it, like
The middle school special?
Exactly. So basically you're taking, you know, these financial instruments made by the system. Like, they thought that through too.
Yeah.
You know, like people aren't getting ahead with their 401ks, these high yield savings account. What's other things that they
Health savings account, all this traditional bullshit, your
exactly.
IRAs, all that stuff. Like, I mean, these are different types of accounts, but think about this. Like, so you're saying, all right, we're going to go get like a traditional basket of assets and put them in this specialized like tax benefit account, right? So if you like kind of unpack all of that, what you boil down to is like, the king is coming to steal 50% of your money, but you can do these things and save a percent of your, you know,
exactly.
you could save some of that money from him taking it. And you're like, but so you start there, and you should start at like, okay, why is he taking my money in the first place? But nobody like starts at like,
Yeah.
why do they just keep taking money from us and then giving us ways to keep some of the money that they're gonna take from you? So it kind of goes like, it's deep, bro. It talks about like, I mean, you go to learn about like, what is it to own something? What is like ownership? What is property? You get what I'm saying? Like, and it's crazy because like at the like in America, we say, you know, it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But in the Magna Carta, which is like the document that the British people had for, I think it's like over 1,000 years old, it's life, liberty, and property. You got what I'm saying? And like we kind of swap out the property part for the pursuit of happiness. And it's kind of crazy because if you think about it, you start to think like, yo, we don't really own too much, bro.
Yeah.
We do, I guess we can go be as happy as we want to and do our little TikTok dances. You know what I mean? But yeah, we kind of jumped into it, bro. We didn't even get to the Bitcoin price.
Oh yeah. Shit.
What's the Bitcoin price?
I think last time I checked this one up, and let me pull it up. Basically 103,000.
All right, 103. Last episode, I think it was like 84. So did you panic sell? And don't lie to these people.
Nah, you already know. Come on now.
I know your bag, but they might not know your bag. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, just buying more because me and him both have more Bitcoin now than we did then. And, you know,
Even if we didn't drop a podcast episode, we still bought more Bitcoin.
yeah, because even in between podcast episodes, we're still like reading up on things, learning things, so we have something to talk about.
We're in the trenches. We're not fucking off. I mean, we kind of are because we go do fly stuff, but we earn that by getting in the gym, doing the knowledge, you know what I mean? Like buying more Bitcoin, like proof of work, like a proof of work type lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then you can go off and enjoy your life and travel and hit Turks and hit Nice and Cannes and Amsterdam and all that stuff. But the whole time our lifestyle is kind of built so we're learning and, you know what I mean, trying to get healthier, wealthier, wiser, and, you know, more family oriented.
Because you'll still see us on the timeline either talking about maybe current things or maybe posting the Bitcoin we've been buying. So we're still there. We're just, you know, putting things together to formulate like a long form content, which is this. So yeah. I've still been buying.
Hey, you want to know what's crazy, bro? I've been having like this. Well, let me start by saying, like, I feel like I kind of like grew up like my adult life on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, for y'all have been rocking with me for a while. Like, I've been at this like overexposing myself on the internet to either shine light on my brands, shine light on my people, like my siblings, you know, my friends, what they got going on, all that stuff, right? And this is like from 2015. Wealth Squad launched in, 17th launched in 2015. That was 10 years of me publicly building, you know what I'm saying? And now I almost feel like the exact opposite, where I'm like, damn, I don't really want to like share too much personal stuff unless it's going to help the people, you know what I'm saying? So like sometimes even I might be on like vacation or something and I'll show you what book I'm reading, but the rest of the stuff I'll just send to the guys in the group chat or my family thing, you know, like, so I've kind of been falling back from that in general, but I do feel like I want to keep leading people to doing the knowledge while we still got crazy upside, because Bitcoin's an asymmetric bet. You get what I'm saying? So you can put 1 times your money in, but you can gain unlimited. You know what I mean? Like you put 1 times in, you could lose 1 time your money. So you buy one whole Bitcoin for $103,000, or you buy $5,000 worth of Bitcoin. The most you can lose is $5,000 or $103,000.
Yeah.
But the most you can gain is this thing can grow forever. You know what I'm saying? So that's an asymmetric bet. You have a limited downside, which is whatever you put in, and then you have unlimited upside. Like this could grow forever. Every dollar you put in could grow forever. So I still want to lead people in that direction, but I'm like, man, I want to be in the trenches, doing the work, building stuff, living life, you know what I mean? Loving on my children and my family and stuff. So yeah, I mean, that trip I took, that was dope. So that was in between episodes too.
Have you been reading anything new?
Yeah, that Ray Dalio book. So that Ray Dalio book came out on the 3rd. All the real ones went and copped it the day it came out. So Ray Dalio is the CEO and founder of the largest hedge fund in the world, right? Bridgewater. And he wrote a book called How Countries Go Broke. And what's crazy about this is, now I'm only 2 chapters in. It came out a day and a half ago, you know. But what's dope is, or I guess what's crazy is, everything he's saying is kind of what Mike Maloney already said in like
Hidden Secrets of Money.
In the Hidden Secrets of Money. But Mike Maloney put that out 12, 13 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's what's crazy. I mean, I'm sure he's going to talk about other things. I'm 2 chapters in so far in the first day and a half. But yeah, so he just talks about how we use debt and credit in these like little cycles, but that creates bigger cycles. And eventually the pressure of the debt, the pressure of the interest payments on the debt becomes so big that central banks are forced to default on it. But when they default, it's not like if I default on my credit card, it's, hey, Amex, I can't pay my credit card anymore. When they default, they print more money.
Exactly.
So it's default by printing, which brings more inflation. You know what I'm saying? So he's saying like basically that's their like the weapon in their back pocket that they have to use. And Mike Maloney was saying this, you know, in the Hidden Secrets of Money, which we recommend everybody go watch. So I'm 2 chapters into How Countries Go Broke. I finished The Big Print by Lawrence Lepard maybe 2 weeks ago. That was dope. You know, same stuff. But one thing that what I thought was dope about that book is that he draws a connection in between central banks and university, like the education system. So if you think about it, why are there so many people who go graduate? Think about how many people go to a university, study something that has to do with finance. The people who get their undergrads, the people that get, you know, like master's degrees and PhDs. So thousands of people every year. And why have none of them been able to put all this together? That like the problem is the money. It's because the way that they're being educated goes with the Keynesian school of economics, which kind of says like, hey, we need credit expansion. We need these things versus like the Austrian way of thinking. And so it's crazy. You're like, even our education system is kind of like built to like support the ideology of central banks and credit expansion and blah, blah, blah.
That's why it's important to think outside of the system. Like think of Bitcoin as its own system.
Yeah, exactly. And then another thing too is like this is why financial professionals have been overlooking Bitcoin, because everything you were taught, everything you've been taught is like, hey, no, this isn't in accordance with what I believe in, or like, and they never stop to think like, let me question my actual education. You know what I'm saying? Like
they're just all agents of the system, and that's why we're like tell people to like it's okay to question things.
Is that why you be on the ass on Twitter, OJ?
Like,
can we talk about OJ's Twitter for a second?
Hey, I gotta be on their ass because it's just like those traditional finance people, they never ask questions or go do the deep dive themselves, you know, like, because if you do the knowledge, you would realize everything that you're shilling to people or everything that you think or everything you've been taught is a lie.
Hold on, let's get back to OJ's Twitter, because OJ be on their ass on Twitter. So OJ's like, let me see, one of the cool tweets he had. He said, "How you a grown ass man with no Bitcoin?"
Wow, that's a crazy
that's legend. That's making it right. That's legendary.
If you over the 18, you should have some type of Bitcoin.
Yeah, which it kind of like correlates with your other tweet that I like, which was how you a grown ass man, you don't read books.
Exactly.
And you like, hey, that's because them books will lead you to
where you need to be.
Yeah,
because it's like people will follow these people into their thinking or like try to push back on what I say publicly because you're also following the system. You're also, this is all you know as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're following these people and they're not leading you to Bitcoin, they're not, you know, leading you down the right path, it's like they don't really have an incentive to, because they're agents of the system or they've been taught into that system. Especially the people who are like bigger people in the space telling you these things. It's because they're benefiting from the system as well. And then
sometimes they don't even recognize it. They like they might not even realize that they're benefiting from the system, right? So like actually all of us benefit from the system in one way, and I don't know if we're ready to see what the system looks like without a money printer. You know what I'm saying? Because if you invest in DR Horton and they have an incentive to turn a profit, which means they need to sell houses for more, which it helps their revenue, which then helps their stock price, and then that's included in your 401k. You got what I'm saying? And you like, do you want to see your 401k collapse if that means life gets cheaper for everyone? A lot of people are going to say no. Mm-hmm. A lot of people benefit from the system, but these people haven't put in any work. The agents, yeah, I like that. the agents, they haven't put in any work to understand like Bitcoin or understand the problem. Mm-hmm. So this is why a lot of people think like, oh yeah, the economy would be good if the Democrats stopped doing this, or the economy would be good if the Republicans stopped doing this. And you're like, hey bro, you got a lot of knowledge to do. You got a lot of books to read. Yeah, because the basis of the problem is printing money, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so, and then we shouldn't be trading our scarce time for their broken money, and that's a decision or a swap out that you can decide at any point to stop making. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So all right, back to his Twitter. So he be on people's ass, and then like he got on their ass about high yield savings accounts. He got like just using and swearing by these products of the system.
And the thing about high yield savings accounts that I'm sure a lot of our viewers know this by now, but people will take the expansion of the economy or like the inflation, they'll take CPI, right? And that number comes from the Federal Reserve.
What's wrong with CPI, OJ?
So like CPI is like a group-based things that they group. So they may take housing. I know housing is like most of the percentage makeup of CPI. They'll take food, they'll take apparel, they'll take certain sectors and they'll group it together to get that inflation number. But they don't. There's a lot of different things that they leave out of that report that really show how much more expensive things are getting. That's why when you see CPI, it may be 3.2%. And then in your life, you're like, hell no. Like,
things ain't getting 3% more expensive every year.
Yeah, like you're like, nah, like for my life, things are doubling at the store. Gas is just as like 30% more expensive. My clothes out here, I'm paying 20-30% more. So in a high yield savings account, let's say, what do they usually give? 3-4%?
Negro, how am I supposed to know that? You think I go look at high yield savings account?
I think it's like around 3-4%.
I'm a Bitcoiner. I don't know none of this agent shit. So, people be I don't know any of these agent.
So it's like around 3 or 4%. I think maybe the high side, let's say 5, right? So people will park their money in these high yield savings account, thinking like they're winning by
like 2%. Oh, if inflation is 3% and my high yield savings account is giving me 5%, I'm winning.
I'm good. Yeah, no, but
all right, bro.
But in reality, you're still getting poor because it's on the closer to 9 to 10% side.
It's to me, think about it like this: we're gonna use the analogy of like Bitcoin being the big boat, right? So if Bitcoin is the big boat to get ahead, well, let's say that the S&P 500 is a smaller boat, right? So that is the boat to stay on path to maintain your purchasing power, because it's all about purchasing power. It's not about the numbers going up; it's about the purchasing power. So to maintain your purchasing power, whatever, you can put your money in the S&P 500, right? If the S&P 500 is pulling away from you, because that's the vehicle used to maintain your purchasing power. If you're not keeping up with the S&P 500, then you're falling behind, aka you're getting poor. So if the S&P 500 returned 12%, they told you that CPI was 3%, and your high yield savings account got you 5%, you're getting further and further away from the safety net.
Yeah.
So, like, I would say, like inflation is whatever the S&P 500 is, because the S&P 500 is taking a basket of the best or top 500 companies who are producing goods, products, and services, right, in the economy, and they're the ones absorbing all the new money going into the system, and then that reflects on, their gains or whatever the case is. So, yeah, like we could just use the S&P 500 as inflation. That's what I would do. And then to beat the S&P 500, you go look at Bitcoin and you go, all right, if the S&P 500 is me maintaining my purchasing power, Bitcoin is me growing my purchasing power, anything that falls below those things are not worth me talking about, looking at, or entertaining some agent telling me about.
Yeah, and if you don't understand what he's explaining, he's basically saying that if you take SPY and you're maintaining, if you hold your money in the S&P 500, you're not going to get any richer, but you're not going to get any poorer holding, like in terms of purchasing power. Because let's say you're holding S&P 500 10 years ago, $100 is $100, and then today that same $100 can get you the same things. That's if you're holding your money in an S&P 500. But what $100 back then is not the same as
It's like $4 now.
Yeah, it was probably $4 now. But that's if you're
Wait, did you just make that up, OJ? Are you a conspiracy theorist?
Nah, I'm not a go do the knowledge. Everything we're telling you, it may not exactly be $4, but it is.
Yeah, it is.
10 years ago, it's $4.
No, 100 years ago.
Oh, 100 years ago.
100 years ago.
100 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
100 years ago.
So, what do you think 10 years ago would maybe like
What would $100 be? 10 years ago?
Yeah, $100 today.
Maybe $80.
Yeah, okay, so let's take that for example.
Maybe $80, $85.
Yeah, so if you're holding your money in a high yield savings account for the past,
actually,
let's say 10 years, and you're not keeping up with the S&P 500, that means you're getting poorer. But if you are holding it in the S&P 500, that means you're staying at the baseline. Your $100 back then is $100 today. Mm-hmm. That's okay if that's what you're okay with. Like, okay, whatever money I have, I just want it to be worth the same. That's okay if that's what you want to do. But the name of the game is purchasing power. You're investing. You're taking these risks. You're parking your money somewhere to increase your purchasing power. So you want your $100 from 10 years ago to be worth $200, so you can buy double the amount of things. So that's what the whole name of the game is, and that's why he says if you're S&P 500, that's just what the inflation rate is because it's a baseline. And I made a
Jesus. Hey, this y'all usinflationcalculator.com.
What is this?
All right, so I just looked at like in 1913, an item purchased for $100 is worth how much in 2025? What do you think it is?
$65.
In 1913?
Oh, I thought you said 10 years ago. 1913, $2.
No. Like, all right, if you bought something for 100, right? If you wanted to buy that same thing,
how many dollars would you need to do it?
Yeah,
I'll say 1,000.
3,240.
Damn.
And that's why people be like, see, houses go up. Like, nah, bro, that's your dollar going down.
Literally.
Yo, Pawpaw bought that house for 5 bands, and you're spending 500 bands.
That shit is crazy.
And you think you richer than Pawpaw because he only made $500 a month.
Yeah,
no,
that's
bro.
Why
that house cost him 10 years worth of his, probably 10 years worth of his salary. It probably cost you 60 years worth of yours. So, yeah, purchasing power. That's the name of the game, y'all. It's purchasing power. So,
but let me show them this. We can put the chart up here.
Yeah, I'm going to put that chart up right there.
So I made a chart that is just showing SPY and Bitcoin divided by M2, the US M2, so the US money supply. And it just shows the purchasing power. So SPY is like completely flat. So based off what we're saying is just tracking M2, how the monetary supply is expanding in the United States. And then you can see for Bitcoin, it's increasing your purchasing power from 2015. So you hold SPY, you're not getting any wealthier, but you're not getting any.
You're just staying flat.
You're staying flat. So the nominal value shouldn't matter to you. You're just more should be focused on purchasing power. Can I buy more things in the future than could I have bought in the past?
So this is what we mean when we say like the nominal value versus like, your purchasing power. Like, do you want $100 $100 US dollars, or do you want 100 pesos? Obviously, you're going to say 100 US dollars, right? And that's because you can buy more stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Even if I said, do you want 200 pesos versus $100? So your mind needs to calculate instantly which one of these can I buy more stuff, right? Yeah, exactly. But what people do is they're looking at, okay, so that makes sense when we compare different currencies. But then when we go compare like assets, people all of a sudden don't say which one of these is going to lead me to buy more stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You got what I'm saying? So if your fuck coin goes up or your stock goes up because they're putting more money into the system, but that doesn't allow you to buy more stuff, who cares? So if your house goes up from 200 to 400,000 and you're like, see, my house doubled, but if you can't go buy 2 houses, you can still only buy 1 house because every other house also went up. Exactly. You didn't get any wealthier. You can still afford 1 house. So when your house was 200,000 when you bought it and then it doubled, you were able to afford 1 house, and now that it doubled, all the other houses came up with it, so you can still afford 1 house. Exactly. Now if something would have grew to 800,000 from 200,000 800,000, and you're saying, oh look, this outpaced the growth of the house, now I can afford 2 houses. which means I have more purchasing power. So when someone's like, yeah, but my house doubled, and you're like, yeah, but over there holding this thing, you would have got more purchasing power.
Yeah.
That's the premise of all this, bro. You want purchasing power. You don't want anyone to take your purchasing power, and you don't care about random numbers on the screen, because if you did, you'd go swap all your dollars for like, I don't know, like what do they use in Nigeria?
Naira.
You'd go swap all your dollars. You'd be a billion. You'd walk around like, see, I'm a billionaire. Like, exactly. All right, bro, just get some milk from the store. Like, not to shit on the Naira specifically, but just to, you got what I'm saying? You're not in it for more money. You're in it for more purchasing power. Mm-hmm. And that needs to register in your head. Can you buy more things in the economy right now than you could have 2 years ago? Exactly. If not, your ass needs some Bitcoin.
Yep. And what about the high yield savings account? People who say, what about my emergency fund, and how am I going to spend money if I'm just buying Bitcoin?
Oh, yeah, people be on some like, so what are you going to spend your money with? How are you going to pay your bills? Like, so like, okay, even before I was a Bitcoiner, if I knew that I got to pay for my kids' tuition in a few days, right? I'm not digging in my high yield savings account. I'm not digging in my emergency fund. I budget my paycheck. Therefore, I can anticipate the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when I put money away, I'm putting away for the long term. Yeah. That's the concept of saving money. You're not saving money to pay for something next week. Mm-hmm. You got what I'm saying? Like, no, you just budget that. Yeah. You got what I'm saying? So, but I think people who think like that, I think those people who swear by the high yield savings account, they're kind of like not comfortable investing money. So they say like, oh, this is free money. Like, so I'm just going to park it here. I don't have to worry about stocks going up or stocks going down or dealing with real estate or any of that stuff. So I think that's what those people are hiding behind. They're hiding behind the concept. But long term, putting money away. So if I have a $1,000 paycheck and I'm going to put money away from the future, off top, I'm going to use like 30%. So $300 I'm putting away for my future. I'm not putting it away for next month.
Exactly.
You got what I'm saying? I'm not putting it away for 4 months from now. Mm-hmm. If that was the case, I'd leave it in my checking account.
Yeah, exactly.
You got what I'm saying? Like, I'm not putting this away in some type of long-term thing. Like, no, bro. Like, if I put money away, I'm putting away for the future.
And there's things set for emergencies, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the emergencies that you could run into, they're not usually cases where, you know, we need to draw on money right in this very second, like
we're going to amputate your leg if you don't give us 30 grand.
Exactly. Like, and even with medical things, if let's say your medical insurance doesn't cover it, then, you can pay monthly. You could go into debt behind it, or you can go like for car insurance, or if you have like car issues, like your tire popped or whatever the case may be, like if you don't have, like your finances in the correct manner, then you should be able to pay.
Those things are gonna wipe you out. Yeah. Like, bro, if you can't just go outside and like live your life without selling your Apple stock or having to sell even some of your Bitcoin, like you're doing too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And the thing is, so a big part of it, we tell y'all get a Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, right? But the second part of that is structuring your life in a way where you don't need to sell your Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. You got what I'm saying? So that means don't overbuy it. You know what I'm saying? So if your paycheck's $1,000, you put $1,000 in, and Bitcoin goes down 10% tomorrow, you need to sell out of it. Mm-hmm. And then there's nerds on Twitter talking about, see, this is where you put your money in a high savings account. You don't have to worry about it. Google Gaga, Chris. I'm listening to Bitcoiners. Shut up. That shit is funny. Or you listen to people on Twitter give you chat GPT ass advice.
Oh, God, that shit's crazy.
Yeah, so... there's that, man. So structure your life so you're not like overdoing things.
Because if you're living within your means, like I'm living within my means, so there's no emergency that can emerge from me where I'm like, I need my high yield savings. I need my emergency fund.
Hey, bro, sound like a battle rapper. There's no emerge. I can't see.
There's no emergency. Like I have insurances for those cases, and my income is set to a point where, okay,
I've calculated how much.
I just got paid. My mom needs me to send her this. Okay, I just got paid here. It's not where I'm, okay, my emergency fund, I digged in my emergency fund, because it's just like, what? Like, what are you doing that you need an emergency fund or you need like, but emergencies do emerge. And that's when you have like different, that's where you
This
have
guy.
different speculative, and we can even get into that like MSTR.
Oh yeah. Okay, like yeah. So that's a good point. So y'all know in my triangle, boom, how I structure my portfolio: Bitcoins are savings, all the speculating's on top. If life hits the fan, guess what's going first?
The speculative things you buy.
Yeah, anything that's speculative is going first. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, I actually, all right, I didn't anticipate this is gonna happen. All right, cool, you got caught slipping. Here goes my bullshit ass stocks that I was speculating on. Here goes the whatever I'm speculating. I'm not giving up my Bitcoin, bro.
Yeah. When we say speculative things, it's a small triangle. You may be 98% Bitcoin, 2% speculation. Like, okay, let me throw some at this little thing. Let me see, throw a couple, whatever you have towards it.
But even I'm like even speculating on
Bitcoin,
layered, yeah. Like I'm not like you're selling burritos in exchange for dollars, and you want me to invest in your company?
Yeah.
Fuck out my face, Chipotle. like no, bro. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? Like, but if you hit me with the I'm selling burritos for dollars, then I'll exchange those dollars for Bitcoin and hold the Bitcoin long term.
Then it starts making sense.
I might look that way. You know what I mean? I might fall for the hezzy pool. Like, okay, let me see what they're talking about. How profitable is this company? How much, Bitcoin can they accumulate? How long do they plan on? Okay, now we can go talk because you're talking about, like adopting a Bitcoin standard.
Yeah.
Your treasury is now going to be in something that's not melting. You could stay in business longer than your competitors. You probably smoke Taco Bell. You know what I mean? Chipotle probably smokes Taco Bell if they're holding Bitcoin, and Taco Bell got the Diddy dollars. And yeah, like, all right, now we could talk. But yeah, so with that being said, let's talk about the Bitcoin treasury companies. So what's the Bitcoin treasury company?
Like what it is or what's one of them?
What is it and what is one of them?
Okay. A Bitcoin treasury company is basically a company that they have their normal operations. They just hold Bitcoin on the treasury. So whether they use different instruments to raise money or they use direct profits to buy the Bitcoin, they just hold it on their books as an asset. And then one super popular one that everybody knows is MSTR, MicroStrategy. Well, they call it strategy now, but that's like one of the most popular ones that do that. And Michael Saylor was the leader in this space, the first to adopt this. Because first he started with MicroStrategy. They sold like different computer software. And it was his business started like
he was getting
slowing
crushed.
up.
He was getting crushed by inflation.
Yeah, slowing up. So he had a meeting, met some Bitcoiners, had a meeting with his board, explained everything that he learned, and then they decided to hold Bitcoin on their treasury, and that basically saved their company.
Yep. So he had like $500 million in cash, put that in Bitcoin, then start thinking like, I have a corporation. It's like a legal entity that will allow me to raise more capital to get Bitcoin. And then he just started engineering different financial instruments to draw money from the bond market, to draw money from, whatever, fixed income or wherever. So yeah, so that's one of them. But you even see companies like GameStop. So in your opinion, why would somebody like GameStop use a Bitcoin treasury strategy when they're selling games?
Just because it's another way to fortitude and like strong suit your business, because there's going to be times where business is slowing up. Like, for example, GameStop, a lot of the transactions for games are happening digitally. So with Xbox, there's Steam, there's PlayStation, the stores, people aren't owning hard copies of games at a large clip now because people are kind of annoyed to, okay, let me store this game, let me put this game in the game rather than having it on the cloud of whatever software you're using to play these games on. So for GameStop, their numbers aren't as strong as they used to be. When we were younger, where the only place you could go get a game was GameStop, or you're going to get your game, like the system, from GameStop. So for companies that are kind of like, business is slowing up, then Bitcoin could be a thing that you use to kind of fortitude your business, because on your balance sheet,
you buy yourself time so you could pivot.
Like, let's say Blockbuster would have been, but Blockbuster, that was probably what? Oh, when did they go out of business?
I don't even want to think about it. I'm gonna cry. Blockbuster was that spot, boy.
Yeah,
You been at school all week, bro.
Go to that
You got
Blockbuster
you
was-
got $5. Some get three for 10. 3 for 10 old movies. Get some popcorn. Get some candy.
Yeah.
Bro, Blockbuster, man, driving movie theaters. But that's one thing. So one, they didn't adapt with the internet. But another thing, so this is the second coming of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that went out of business because they didn't adopt to the internet. Think about Sears and think about Amazon. Sears is a spot that used to sell everything like, home appliances, stuff like that. But Amazon was coming and utilizing a new protocol, the HTTP protocol, which the internet is built on top of. So this protocol is coming and nobody can stop it, right? No one was going to slow down the internet once it got released out the bag, right? So now there's companies that are using the internet as an advantage, of competitive advantage. And there's some people who think they can ignore it.
Yep.
Good luck, right? Now Sears is a goner, right? Same thing with Blockbuster to Netflix. Right. And I think they even had the opportunity to buy Netflix.
Yeah.
So they're ignoring things. Right. So you see a big wave of, hey, this technology or this protocol is coming and people are going to ignore it. And then you get wiped out. It's no different than any other like technological like advance in human history. You got what I'm saying? Like people got sailboats and you got a steam engine, you're gonna outmaneuver them. People got sticks and stones and you got a musket, people are gonna outmaneuver you. You got muskets and they got machine guns.
Yeah,
you're fucked.
imagine all the people when the automobile first came out.
Yeah,
I know people like, ain't nobody gonna buy that shit. Ain't nobody gonna be using that. I got my
Yeah.
horse. I got my
exactly.
And I know there was like certain type of horses that went higher than others, like stallions or like real quality horses. And then there's people who be like, man, I'm gonna get that automobile.
Yeah, people are like, bro, why would you want an automobile? Like it
can
doesn't
get this
even like
stallion.
you
black,
can't even feed your automobile. Like, yeah, you can't feed your automobile. Like, who's gonna be my companion? Like,
Exactly.
people just start making up reasons why they're not adopting.
Because think about in that time, like there was an argument to be made, right? But now we're like, why would I go anywhere on a horse if I could just take my car?
That's what everyone watching this with your kids are gonna think about you. They're gonna be like, so the dollar kept losing its purchasing power, and Bitcoin kept gaining purchasing power, and you kept your Diddy dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
Your kids gonna be, damn, my pop's dumb as hell.
Facts.
My
or
pop-
your great grandkids gonna think, man,
Maybe,
my
bro,
grandpa
was not on that. But like, even like, if you think about this, y'all, like, we go through this right now with housing. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so y'all seen that the cost of housing kept going up. Like, they kept making more money, which is sending the cost of housing up, and you sold out your house to take profits and buy a Mercedes. Now I need to figure out housing for myself. You could have solved this problem for me when they were selling houses for 3 burritos. You got what I'm saying? Like, but it's gonna be the same thing. We're like, okay, so it sounds like we're talking crazy, but bro, on the Federal Reserve's website, the St. Louis chapter of the Federal Reserve, they have a chart where it shows $1,000 worth of purchasing power from 100 years ago, right? And that $1,000 from 100 years ago is worth $34 now.
Damn.
And then on that chart, so it's saying the purchasing power, and it's just in a free fall. We're putting the chart here. It's the $1,000 just in a free fall. They also have on the same exact chart the purchasing power of Bitcoin going vertical. The people who make your money are telling you that your money is losing value. The people who make your money are telling you that there's something that can protect and grow your purchasing power. Why don't people talk about that? Because the NBA finals start today.
Oh God!
Why would we talk about that if the finals about to start? Right?
This,
like, why would
this movie star just went and did
this movie star just did this? This celebrity is uppercut his girlfriend, and like, bro, I don't care about none of that. I'm trying to like secure my legacy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to make sure my kids can enjoy life and enjoy their way of life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna need to protect their purchasing power too. It's not even just about me. Like, today my daughter's birthday. You know what I mean? Like, bro, one day she's gonna need money for a university. One day she's gonna need money for a house. You guys, like, bro, you would be selfish not looking into how can I survive and thrive, and then on top of that, how can I do the same for my kids? So if you're not looking into this type of stuff and you have children or you have nieces and nephews, and my niece watched this show, like, Ivory, what up? Uncle love you. Like, I'm like fund her investments and stuff. You got what I'm saying? Because, bro, she's 10, 11 years old. One day she's gonna need to pay for school. You got what I'm saying? Like,
and how you store your money, like
it matters. Even to teach them about this type of stuff. So when dad passes away, you don't go sell my Bitcoin for some Rolexes. You know what I mean? My son not selling. My son like, hey,
Seven might do that.
Hey, my pops is tripping. I need a Lambo. Like, boy, want to leave me some digital money. Boy, I need a Ferrari. Like, you teach your kid, you sit down and you talk about this. Like, hey, like, the dollar's losing its value. Like, okay, go do this experiment with your children, right? Or your nieces, your nephews, like whatever little kids are around. Go to the store and take a picture of what's at the store, the prices, right? And then in 1 year, go take another picture. Or if you ordered anything on Amazon, go back. Or you ordered anything on Amazon or maybe we should do this on the next episode. If you order anything on Amazon, Walmart.com, right? Like, let's say during the pandemic, go pull up that order right now and try to order everything else, order the same exact things that you ordered in the past. I bet you it's 50% more expensive.
Exactly.
It's going to be 50% more expensive. Let's say you got a whole grocery cart, 10 items, $100, is $10 an item. You go try to order that, I guarantee it's going to be
140, 150.
But then CPI says that the shit only grows at 3% per year.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Right? Like, let's be for real. But anyway, man, this shit's serious, bro. Like, we be laughing and joking and cracking jokes, but we're for real. Like, and that's another thing, like, you know, like how people will say, like, oh, I'll do anything for my family. Oh, I'll do anything for my mom. Nigga, read a book.
Yup.
You're going to do
That's
anything
where they draw the line.
Yeah, like, don't draw the line with dumb shit. Like, those are the books that we recommend. But yeah, man. So what else we got? What else we want to talk about? Oh, let's talk about more about the
treasury companies.
Treasury companies, and then let's get into security. All right, so Bitcoin treasury company. So I know I said, like, you could speculate with these treasury companies, but it doesn't mean just because somebody announces they're going to adopt the Bitcoin standard or that they do adopt the Bitcoin standard that you should buy into them, right? Exactly. So a lot of these companies who are, you know, they're kind of first in the door. Like Michael Saylor kind of, you know, pioneered this new way of running a corporate business. And now everybody's adopting it, but you don't know who the true holders are, who's going to like actually hold the Bitcoin, right? So you can value these companies based on what their market cap is, how much assets they have versus how much Bitcoin they own, right? So their net asset values, their assets minus their liabilities, right? And compare that to how much the Bitcoin that they own is worth. So hypothetically, let's say there's a $10 billion company, right? They have $10 billion in net assets. So they got 12 billion in assets, they have 2 billion in liabilities. So net assets, they have 10 billion. Okay. Then all their Bitcoin on their balance sheet is worth 10 billion, right? So they're trading 1-to-1. Right? So you're like, all right, cool. MicroStrategy might be trading at 2.5. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to speculate that this company is going to grow faster than MicroStrategy grows because other investors are going to recognize that that they're trading lower than or on par with what their Bitcoin is. So whatever their Bitcoin's worth plus their actual operation company, it could, you know, the operation company could grow or they can use that to get more money, blah, blah. I'm going to speculate with this company. All right, cool. That's kind of how everybody's playing it. Like on Bitcoin, Twitter, that's how people are playing it. Here's something you need to consider. What happens when the value of Bitcoin goes down, right? So when you have $10 billion in assets, but Bitcoin falls 20%. So you have 8 billion in Bitcoin. So now you're trading under a 1-to-1 for your Bitcoin, right? Logically, what most people are going to do, let's say not even 20%, let's say Bitcoin falls in half. Logically, so your company's worth, or your assets are worth 10 billion, your Bitcoin's worth 5 billion. What would make the most sense is for them, right, from like their perspective, from the fiat mind perspective, what would make the most sense is that they sell Bitcoin to buy shares and take the shares off the market. You get what I'm saying? So what these people are saying, or you know what's going to happen, I know what's going to happen, is people are like, hey, buy into our company or buy our stock because we own Bitcoin. We own Bitcoin, and it's going to shoot up and it's going to trade 2-3 times, you know, their net asset value. But then when the net asset value comes down because Bitcoin tanks, they're going to have an incentive to say, do I keep my Bitcoin and let the stock tank, or do I sell my Bitcoin and try to save my stock? And all these fiat-minded
Yeah, they're gonna sell
CEOs
the
and board of
Bitcoin and buy
directors,
the stock back.
they're going to say, okay, so imagine if all these Bitcoin, so exactly what you said. So imagine if all these Bitcoin treasury companies are thinking this way. So let's say Bitcoin goes down 70%. Now you got 1,000 companies with the incentive to sell their Bitcoin. You got what I'm saying? What do you think happens when Bitcoin goes down 70% and then these companies start selling out to protect their stock? A stock is Diddy dollars. They're going to sell their pristine collateral or their asset in order to protect their Diddy dollars. And then Bitcoin is going to go down even lower. So that's what some people like foresee the next bubble to be. Who knows? Some people might say, well, I'll find another way to raise money to buy up the bottom. But the people who are playing Bitcoin, they're not Bitcoiners. They're not thinking like, they're just seeing a way to make
opportunity.
Yeah, they're opportunists. You know what I'm saying? Like Nip said, like, I hope your opportunity survives the opportunists. We have an opportunity to save the U.S. economy, the global economy from these central banks, and people get to playing fiat games. So, like, if you're going to speculate, but look deeply into this. You know what I'm saying? Go see what their CEO is talking about. Does he actually understand the concept? What are the board of directors? Are they public on the social media? How often are they buying? What are they doing to buy? Are they using cash flow from their operation company? Are they issuing more debt? Okay, if they're issuing debt, fixed income, what is their plan to pay that debt if Bitcoin tanks? Right? So if you're promised to paying a 10% dividend and your cash flow slows up from your business, where you can get that money to pay that dividend from? Selling your Bitcoin? You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one part of everything that we're saying is stack as much Bitcoin as possible. But another thing is you need to be in the position to keep your Bitcoin. So that whether that's you as a person, you know, or your family, or whether that's a corporation, you got what I'm saying? So y'all, like, don't take anybody's word for anything.
Yep.
You got what I'm saying? Like, that's why in the Wealth Squad, I'll post like, hey, go watch this presentation.
Go verify it yourself.
Yeah, go verify them yourself. And I found some holes in some of these companies' games already, and I'll talk about that as, you know, more things. But I'm gonna talk to you when the camera comes off. But they're like, I'm starting to see holes in people's games because, matter of fact, I'll put it out there. It's MicroStrategy. So I'm watching this presentation that they just did because they have that Stride now. Now they have Stride, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying like, we owe X amount in debt, but we have X amount in Bitcoin to pay the debt. We can sustain paying this debt for the next 300 years, right? And even if Bitcoin were to go down 30%, we can now sustain paying this debt for 30 years, right? If I say something like that, y'all should just like assume what I'm talking about is selling my Bitcoin to pay the debt.
Yeah.
But the Bitcoin allegedly is unencumbered, which means nobody can take your Bitcoin. You don't owe the Bitcoin to anybody lending. But when you come out on these presentations and say, yeah, even if Bitcoin went down 30%, we could still pay our debt. So give us money. Are you telling me as the investor that you're willing to sell your Bitcoin to pay off the debt? Now you're paying fiat games.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying? So I kind of want, you know, to do more research on that, but I've seen that in their presentation that came out a few days ago. I've never seen anybody mention it on Twitter. They're just taking everybody's word for it, and I don't trust nobody. You got what I'm saying? I don't trust nobody with my children's future.
That's the importance of doing the deep dive, because there's people who are all in MSTR, and I like big ups to what Sailor is doing and what Strategy is doing, but like he was saying, just doing the deep dive on what's really going on, how are they really going about doing this. Like what does a disaster scenario look like for, you know, Strategy? What does these disaster scenarios look like for these different companies? Because there's a lot of these, there's a lot of these companies that are popping out because it's the new big thing they see. Okay, if I say I hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet, then our stock is skyrocketing. So,
and my intention when I speculate is to get more money for Bitcoin. Which means like, yeah, I might speculate. Y'all might even see me trade, you know, whatever. But the purpose of that is I'm trying to get more money for Bitcoin, or I'm trying to get more cash flow in order to not have to sell my Bitcoin.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So with that being said, y'all, only the paranoid survive. You know what I'm saying? So I'm watching this presentation. I'm like, what do they mean by that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But anyway, only the paranoid survive. So with that being said, let's talk about security, because the biggest part, step one, from episode 1 to episode now 9, we're telling y'all, go get you some Bitcoin and get a lot of it, as much as you can. Leave everything that's related to a Diddy dollar alone. Step 2 is to not get got for your Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about security.
Yeah. So security there's several different ways you can go about protecting your Bitcoin. So it goes to me, the way I think about security is different layers in security. So the first layer to me is like self-storage, you storing your Bitcoin yourself. So we always tell you to take your Bitcoin off of these exchanges, whether that's Robinhood, Coinbase, Kraken, what's another one? Swan, Stripe,
Binance,
any of these,
Gemini.
It doesn't matter how like regulated you think they are, how trustworthy you think they are. It's always important to make sure the Bitcoin you have is the amount you actually have. So if it's on an exchange, they're just giving you access to that Bitcoin. You don't really know, do I have this Bitcoin? It's just because at that point it's just a number on the screen, right?
Yep.
That's what FTX was doing, and these different exchange failures. So
wait, so you said that was step 1. I actually think that's step 2, because I think step 1 is Bitcoin itself.
Yeah.
So then we go, all right.
Layers,
Bitcoin itself is the defense layer. It's never been hacked, right? So if you can't hack Bitcoin itself, which would be like you cheat the mining system in order to mine all the Bitcoin yourself, right? Or you crack something and you're able to like get everyone's private keys, right? That would be like, so layer 1 is Bitcoin itself. Now, Bitcoin itself can't be hacked. So where do people go? To layer 2, which is like the exchanges, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So exchanges, and all right, so after you take your Bitcoin into your own custody, there's different ways you can do that. You can either store it in a single sign key, or you can do multi-signature. So what a multi-signature is you have 2 keys. So let's say you have a ledger and you have a cold card. So your ledger is 1 key, and the keys that I'm talking about is the seed phrase. So your seed phrase is your Bitcoin, because your Bitcoin isn't physically on this USB drive, this ledger. It's just
a password to get it. Your Bitcoin's in cyberspace, and you have a secret password to access it.
Exactly. So it'd be like your house. Like you have your front door key. That's what lets you into.
That's a good analogy. So your public key. So if you say, send me some Bitcoin, here's my address. That would be my home address. It's public.
Yeah.
But my private key would be me having the actual key to get in the house.
Exactly.
All right, go ahead.
So with the multi-signature setup is you need 2 keys to send your Bitcoin anywhere, right? So let's say if I want to send Chris some Bitcoin, I need to get, once I broadcast this transaction and I want to send Chris $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, then my multi-sig setup, whether you're using Casa Unchained or you set that up yourself, there's ways you can do that. It's a lot more like, you need to really know what you're doing. So my recommendation, go to either Unchained or Casa to do this. But I would need to get my ledger, sign the transaction on my ledger, then get my cold card, sign the transaction on my cold card, and I can send it off. That's more secure than having a single sign, which is I just have 1 ledger and I just sign my transaction with 1 ledger. So it's more secure, because if you were to physically get attacked, then somebody to send your Bitcoin, they would need, 2 keys to do it instead of just 1 being compromised.
Yep. All right. So actually, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with let's talk about the keys and stuff. All right. So the reason why Bitcoiners, or the reason why me and OJ are going to tell you, like, not your keys, not your coin, not your keys, not your cheese, right? So when you, like he was explaining, the Bitcoin's not actually sitting on your ledger. It's not actually sitting on your cold card. It's just in cyberspace, right? And you have access to it with a private key. And what a private key could be is 12 words, 24 words, right? So that's your seed phrase. So the reason why people say not your keys, not your cheese, or not your keys, not your coin, is because if I go on Coinbase and I buy Bitcoin, right? It's just sitting on Coinbase. How do I know that that Bitcoin is actually there? Because if you think about it, all Coinbase is an app.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I build an app and then you send me $100,000, I can say, yeah, bro, you have 5,000 Bitcoin, because all it is
just numbers.
It's just numbers on the screen. I can say, yeah, thanks for that. You got 500,000 Bitcoin. The only way you can verify that that Bitcoin is actually there and it's yours is to take self-custody of it. Thanks for your business, Coinbase. Send it to me, right? I'm going to withdraw it and I'm going to take custody of it. Those private keys will be mine, right? So when you get a ledger, when you get a cold card, when you get treasure, right, you generate a seed phrase. You get the private key. You go make the private key on that device, right? That gives you access to the Bitcoin.
Yep.
All right. So if you hold your Bitcoin on Coinbase, or you hold it on Kraken, or you hold it on Gemini, you hold it on Swan, you hold it on wherever you buy your Bitcoin from, and that company goes bankrupt, guess who gets access to the Bitcoin first, or to any other assets first? Their creditors, the people who lent them money. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? You are the depositor.
Yeah, that's why people from FTX scam, they're still scrumming lawyers together trying to get their money. There's a lot of people who still haven't got any money back or access to the money that they were supposedly had on there.
So imagine these venture capital funds who are loaning FTX money, or this, whoever loaning these people money, and then they go under. And you don't understand any of this stuff. You just, I've got some Bitcoin, FTX. All right, when FTX goes under, all those people who loan, they set up a negotiation, or they set up their agreement saying, hey, we get first dibs to your assets. And then you're over here like, I got a Bitcoin with FTX. No, FTX got your Bitcoin. Yeah, that's their Bitcoin. Right, like in Friday, he said, "This my bike, fool. This my Bitcoin, fool. When shit hit the fan, that's gonna be their Bitcoin." Yeah. Right. Another thing too is like how people, you might even hear Bitcoiners say like nobody can take your Bitcoin from you. Well, if your Bitcoin's sitting on Coinbase, that's not your Bitcoin. Exactly. So when the judge gives the subpoena to Coinbase, right, or when they go to seize your assets, like that's not yours.
Like think about if Ross Ulbricht was holding his Bitcoin on, what would it have been, Mt. Gox at that time, or what?
Silk Road.
So imagine he was holding the Bitcoin on like an exchange.
Oh yeah, like on Mt. Gox. Okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I know he has like a little reserve that he probably is using now.
So wait, did you see that somebody donated 300 Bitcoin to him?
That was himself.
You think that was him?
Yeah, probably.
Boy, I would have been in that cell every day, like jump, run, fly. God. Remember all my 12 words? God. Jump, run, fly, wealth, book, asset, boat.
But imagine if he would have held that on an exchange. Yeah. You know how fast a judge would have sent the subpoena and took the Bitcoin to
they would have been like, hey, y'all got to show up. What does this guy have in his account? Blah, blah, blah,
we're
right?
Seizing that.
So, but imagine if you have your own seed phrase, like, and let's say you just like memorize or something, like that's wealth that you can walk around the entire world with, right? You can get access to your wealth because you know these 12 or 24 words. Yep. All right, so the next thing that you guys are going to ask, like, okay, so I got a treasure, and I generated a seed phrase from the treasure, right? And I lost my treasure. Okay, cool. You have the seed phrase, right? Go get you another treasure.
And that's why we say your Bitcoin is tied to the key. So if you lose a seed phrase, you lose your Bitcoin because your seed phrase is your Bitcoin.
Yeah. And with that being said, if you don't lose your seed phrase, you don't lose your Bitcoin. Exactly. Right? So if you lose your device or somebody steals it out of your gym backpack, I don't know why you have it in your gym backpack, but okay, cool. I'll go get me another device, put those 24 words in, boom, I got my Bitcoin. So, bro, think about this, bro. This is one of the first things that you truly own. Because in the traditional finance way, you only own something at the power of another individual taking it from you. Yeah. Right? I only own this house until the government decides I didn't pay my property taxes and then they take it from me. I own this watch, it's mine, but that means there's a threat of violence. Yeah. And I got to off somebody to protect my watch, right? But the thing is somebody can take it from you.
Yeah, they can.
Right? Someone can't take your Bitcoin from you if you're storing it properly.
And you follow
because nobody knows your seed phrase.
Unless you give it to them.
Right? So with that being said, let's talk about scams. What we're saying is the most important thing about this security thing, right, or access to your Bitcoin is your seed phrase. So nobody should know your seed phrase, right? the only time somebody would know your seed phrase is if you're okay with them taking your Bitcoin.
Exactly.
So
or
if
exactly. Like
yeah,
your
so
mom,
your
dad.
wife, yeah, like okay, you and your wife, you guys like because if you pass away, she needs your wealth for your children, or if your husband, whatever. You got what I'm saying? So giving someone access to your seed phrase once you take proper self custody gives them access to your Bitcoin, right? So the first layer of defense is Bitcoin itself, right? You have all the miners, you have all the nodes protecting the system. The second layer of defense is you taking self custody. I buy on Swan, I put it in my treasury, right? Like I transfer it to my treasury address that I have the private seed for, right? The third layer of defense is you, right? Like you don't let no one finesse you. So talk about some of the common scams.
It's the way I like to say it. It's you versus yourself at this point, because you have it. You're taking self custody. You're taking it all into your own hands. Now the only way you can lose your Bitcoin is from yourself, because most of the ways that people lose their Bitcoin isn't from physical attacks, because most people don't know what a ledger is if they're looking at it. Most people aren't running into people's houses. There's cases where they do, but that's very rare cases. There's like a random guy from Idaho with 10 Bitcoin. Like, I don't know. How do I know this guy has 10?
Yeah, it's too much of a risk.
Yeah.
Could be like, let me pick a random house. This guy might have some, nobody knows.
Exactly. So most of them are social engineering scams. And what I mean by that, that's either like phishing attacks from spoofed websites, or like malware and QR codes, or there's cases where people get emailed from Coinbase, but it's a Coinbase with an I, so it's off by like a letter, and people don't realize. They're like, reset your password, and people go reset their Coinbase password. There's people who have Bitcoin on Coinbase, or they're like, oh, this is Apple calling you, and for some reason Apple's asking for your seed phrase, and people are giving away their seed phrase.
Nigga, Steve Jobs himself. Steve Jobs himself. He'd be, hey, yeah, this is Steve Jobs, bro. Can knock on the door like, hey, I'm back from the dead. I need you.
Or people get like,
bro.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You can't.
Oh god. Or people get calls from like faked Unchained, Casa, or they get calls from Cold Card.
But these scammers are hitting at a high rate. They got Mark Cuban, right?
Yeah, they got Mark Cuban for $240 million. All they did was call him and pretend to be from Google. Like, you think what we're
doing
saying,
all this work when we could have called Mark Cuban and just got
like,
hey,
people
why
think,
are we doing all that? We should have just called Mark Cuban.
People think that,
hey, give us your seed phrase, bro.
People think that we sound ridiculous with these scams, but you'd be surprised on how many. Let's say you call 1,000 people in a week and you get 10 people. That's a good rate for you, because you're using like what these scammers are doing. They're buying data from like databases, like people who go and steal data. They're buying from data brokers, and they're looking at who has something. Because I'm not trying to call the guy with $500 worth of Bitcoin, whatever the case is. I'm not trying to call the guy with $500. They're trying to hit high net worth individuals who have something worth calling for. So they'll get your email, they'll get your phone number, they'll set up fake different websites that people click on. They're just doing different things. So being aware of what these things are is very important. And like, there's cases where people are like, okay, I have a multi-signature setup, that means I'm good from everything. Well, there's cases where
if they talk you out of your seed phrase for multiple of your signatures, you're still cooked.
Exactly. So these social engineering, they don't care. Like, they run into people who have triple setups, or
they're like, let me get every seed phrase.
Yeah, because I need all of them to send. It could be anything so it doesn't matter if you're multi-sig, single sig. You can
I'm extremely paranoid. Coinbase got hacked, right? So Coinbase gets hacked, and they say 1% of their customers' data got leaked. I think everybody's data got leaked because. How's it that it was 1%, but everybody and their mom that I know that uses Coinbase got their shit leaked? So now I get DMs. I get text messages every day. Yeah. Hey, click this and reset your password. Hey, there's a package on the way. Hey, I even get WhatsApp messages all the time. Hey, are you looking for a job opportunity? Yep. Hey, like, anybody's trying to get you. I'm not clicking on nothing, bro. I'm extremely paranoid. Sometimes I actually have stuff coming from FedEx. Sometimes I actually have stuff from. I don't care. I don't even know at this point, bro. I'm not clicking nothing, bro. I'm not clicking nothing, right? Like, And then another thing too is, man, get all that Bitcoin off your phone. You got what I'm saying? Like, get everything off your phone, because if somebody even ran into you in person and try to force you to send Bitcoin, I don't even got no Bitcoin on my phone, big dog. You know what I mean? Like, I don't got nothing for you. So, but yeah, like, I'm paranoid, bro, because I get calls all day. Like,
I do too. Yeah.
Spam calls, bro. I get text messages. I get all this stuff all day long, and you're like, everybody wants your Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Because look, think about this. If somebody calls you pretending to be Verizon, and then they finesse you into getting into your Verizon account, I don't really understand how that's going to help them immediately. Maybe they got to go do something else. But if somebody gets into your Coinbase account, right? Like, they got your password, so now they can just press send to wherever, right?
Even if they're calling from Verizon, they can get into your iCloud.
Oh yeah, they get into your you're right.
If they get into iCloud, this is Verizon, let me give them my iCloud.
Yeah, like, so, but your grandma might fall for this. Like, oh well, baby, they said they were calling from Cornbase. Yeah, so he was helping me out. Now, Granny don't got no damn Bitcoin.
Oh God,
because you ain't short this episode, fuck nigga.
And it's not even. He'll be that. But nah, it's not even only older people. It's a lot of like mid-aged people falling for that shit too.
Falling for the hezzy pool, like, bro, you know they going hezzy pool. You're gonna jump. They're gonna step through and lay the ball. Exactly. Don't fall for no hezzy pools.
And there's even cases where it's not just social engineering scams. It's like, well, I guess it still falls under that sector, but it's not them just emailing you. It could even be cases where you're in these deep Telegram groups, Discord groups getting got.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put up some emails that I get right here, because I get these emails all day, every day. I get these text messages all day, every day. I'm going to put them up here so y'all know what it looks like. So if y'all are being targeted and stuff, like, don't think like, oh, somebody has a job opportunity for me. Mm-hmm. Like,
but even the case... There's a case where you may know, and you know, like, you'll have like stressful days, right?
Hey, hold on. Well, this is crazy. Look at this, y'all. We blocked one of your payments. There, Chris Johnson. We recently blocked your $2,000 payment to Robinhood Securities because the payee isn't eligible to blah, blah, right? So think about this. Chase Bank just told me I can't deposit money into Robinhood. Mm-hmm. Right? So then you would naturally go, which like most uninformed people go, it's my money. Yeah. No, it's not. It's the money in the bank is not yours. It's the bank's money. Yeah. You'll know if the bank goes bankrupt, because guess who get access to that money first? Mm-hmm. Their creditors, right? Yeah. You got what I'm saying? You're like, think about this, bro. Somebody's telling me I can't send money to somebody else. Yeah. Because whatever reason, right? You're like, we're talking about personal property. That's my money, right? Or if it was my Bitcoin, I could send it to you. I could send it to whoever right? I could send whoever. Oh, off topic. You know those dudes that escaped from that New Orleans prison? Mm-hmm. So I guess one of their grandmas sent them money, right? Mm-hmm. And then she got arrested for sending money, right? But I'm thinking, like, so I see this on Twitter, and I'm like, imagine your grandbaby locked up, right? You're older, you're not keeping up with social media, so you probably didn't see this is an escape prison-y. Like, bro, you probably watch Wheel of Fortune all day. Mm-hmm. You just see your grandson's home. He got home early. Hey, here, baby, go get you some clothes. Next thing you know, you're in the feds, right?
That shit's crazy.
But I have on Twitter, like, kind of jokingly, but kind of telling the truth, like, Bitcoin solves this. You know what I'm saying? And some people will be like, well, you're breaking the law, blah, blah. Like, hey, it's my money. I'm gonna send money to whoever, because it starts with people shutting the gates. Well, you can't send money to criminals because you're helping them and they broke the law, right? It starts there, and most of you guys will probably agree with this. Half of y'all probably agree with this, right? Half of y'all think Granny should be in prison, right? Mm-hmm. But then what ends up happening is that gives the government the incentive to change what a criminal is. Yeah. Now you go to a COVID protest and you're a criminal. Mm-hmm. You got what I'm saying? So you go to the truckers who went to go protest COVID during COVID, right? And then people were sending them money. And then the banks were identifying the people sending them money. Like, hey, we're truckers. We're out in the middle of nowhere. We need food, blah, blah, blah. We're missing work. We're not getting paid. So all the, the citizens who are like, hey, yeah, like, I support them, send the money. And now your bank is kicking you out of the bank. Yeah, because you decide. So what ends up happening is, whether you agree with Granny or not, I agree with Granny, but whether you agree with Granny or not, you just leave a slippery slope so they can change the who is a criminal. Mm-hmm. You got what I'm saying? So that kind of goes back to this whole thing of, like, it's in the people's hands now to not determine what's right and what's wrong based on what the government says. Because the government should be there to support the people, not the people being slaves to the government. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, bro, if I want to give my, because imagine if it wasn't money. Imagine if it was coloring books. If I want to get my coloring books to the homeless man at the gas station, I don't care why he's doing what, or you know what I'm saying? Here's my, it's the same thing with money, bro. Like, hey, here's some money. You know what I'm saying? Now they're, in extreme cases, you have like, you know, terrorism and blah, blah, blah. But I'm sure Granny didn't know that. Yeah. And now she's in the feds. You know what I'm saying?
Even if she did, it's her money. She earned.
Yeah, you're like, bro, this is your, it just makes you question things. And then like the fiat world stops making sense.
Yeah.
But anyways, I don't even know how we got on that rant.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was going to say, like, even, like, if people do know these scams, could be cases where, like, back to the scams, like, even if people do know.
Wait, hold on, over three. Hey, y'all find out Granny's still locked up. I'll bail her out. I'll bail Granny out. I promise y'all. Go ahead.
But I was saying, like, even if people do know about these scams, you could still get got by just slipping up. Like, you know, like you have stressful days. You have like maybe your kids are running around, somebody's in your ear, and you're not really reading something all the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's just like it gets pretty deep, and it gets pretty like, you know, because these scammers are hitting, they're going and going. They're just trying to get a hit. So they're not stopping.
I even seen where they'll watch your wallet. Let's say you send money from one address to the next, and then you're going to send money to that address again, and they'll spoof the address to make it look like it's the same address, like, and you're just like trying to like, oh yeah, I sent this before. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, like you have to be paranoid. You have the most valuable piece of property in the world. Yeah. The rest of the world will slowly find out how valuable it is, but you already know. That's why you're watching this podcast. That's why you stacking bit by bit. The extreme lengths people are going to go to try to take your property. Imagine you have a house in Malibu, right? And everyone's starting to realize like, hey, instead of living in the cold, we could go to the beach in Malibu. We just got to go finesse them out of their house. You got what I'm saying? That's what's happening. You got Bitcoin,
people
bro.
Go do everything in their power to take it.
Yes. So don't click on random links. Don't answer calls from people you don't know. Don't ever give anyone your seed phrase. Like, hey, stay paranoid, y'all. Yeah. Like, for real.
And we're not trying to scare you, but you got to be.
It's real, bro.
You're going to be living in paranoia, because that's just how it is. You're just going to be living in paranoia. Like, damn, like, who is this? Is this really person calling?
Hey, because when you get to being as paranoid as I am, you think anybody wants your Bitcoin. Exactly. They be trying to sell you a car. You be, bro, you just want to get some money so you can buy Bitcoin and steal my Bitcoin. Like, bro, I be thinking everybody trying to finesse me to buy nice jewelry and everything so they could go buy Bitcoin. Like, you want me with less Bitcoin, bro? Nah, but for real though, about security, if step one is to buy Bitcoin, step two is to protect your Bitcoin. You protect your Bitcoin by taking it off of your exchanges, by not ever giving anyone your seed phrase. Like, bro, if Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, came and knocked on your door and said, hey, there's been an emergency. If you've seen me somewhere in Houston or LA or something, I'm like, hey, like, nah, like, you know, I can help you out with your ledger, because you're like, hey, Chris, I tried to set it up. I got a problem. I'm like, yeah, just give me your seed. Don't give it to me, bro.
Exactly. Nobody.
Unless you want me to have your Bitcoin and disappear into Never Land, don't give anyone your Bitcoin. You got what I'm saying? Yeah. So, what else you want to talk about?
We could segue into Elon Musk, like having his brain dump on the timeline, just realizing like just the whole debt system. There's nothing that you can do about the deficit spending.
All right, so Elon Musk is the wealthiest person in the world that we know publicly, right? Elon Musk is one of the best, if not the best, entrepreneur in America, right? And we know that based on the value of his company. He then volunteers to set up this, Doge or whatever, and they're going to go audit the U.S. government, and they're going to find out where all the fraud is, because the government spends too much money and they think most of it is on fraud, blah, blah, blah. So they go doing their deep dive, and then they realize, like, all right, there is a lot of fraud, but there's also a lot of things we can't stop, because these payments are going to these people, but this was voted back then and this day, and nobody wants to undo that. And you got what I'm saying? He starts to realize like how corrupt the system is, and it's not red side, blue side. This is the way that
the
it's
system
set
is
up, bro. This is the way it's
regardless
set
if
up.
we're arguing Republican, Democrat, whatever other parties there are. It's the system is like that itself.
Yeah, exactly. So then he realizes like the government spends so much money that they spend a fourth of all their money on interest. So the government receives like $4 to $5 billion a year in tax revenue, right? Tax revenue, tariffs, all that good stuff, right? So imagine if that was you watching this. You make $100,000 a year. You take home $100,000 a year, but then the government spends $1 trillion on the interest on the debt. So if you're making $100,000 a year, right, you're gonna spend $20,000 to $25,000 a year on your credit card interest, not your credit card debt. The interest on your debt. So how high is your credit card bill if the interest is $20,000 to $25,000 per year? So you're giving up a fourth of your income just to pay the interest, right? So the difference is eventually you're going to have to default. You're going to say, hey, I can't afford this. Because I don't know what the quick math is on $20,000 a year in credit card interest. Maybe that's $2 million in credit card bills. So you're spending a fourth of your income just to pay the bill. You would very quickly realize that you can't pay off this debt.
Yeah.
The problem is the government can borrow more money to pay the interest. But if you're borrowing more money to pay the interest, you still need to actually pay the principal.
Yeah.
And the more money you borrow, the more next year your interest payments are going to be. So Elon Musk has come to the realization that the more money that we borrow, the more money that we spend. And mind you, the U.S. government's borrow money from the central banks, the Federal Reserve, right? So that's what all these politicians go to vote on, to agree on, or they say there's this imaginary debt ceiling and we need to raise it. Okay, you raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion more, so then you can borrow $5 trillion more, so then we're gonna have more interest. So anyways, the money that we're spending on interest is greater than the money we spend on the defense. Yeah. Have you ever seen those videos that be like all those military hype videos where we got all these crazy fighter jets and bombers and big ass like warships? That costs us $1 trillion a year. Yeah. Our interest cost us a little bit more than that. So you're like, damn. So that kind of gives you a like realization of what you could spend $1 trillion on. It's hard to even imagine what $1 trillion is. You
so they raise 4 to 5 trillion a year, and then 25% of it is going towards like interest payments only. Interest payments
alone. us.debtclock.org. We're gonna put it right here.
And those interest payments, they're getting higher and higher every year.
Yeah. So then when the interest rate, so when the Federal Reserve increases the interest rate, so when the interest rate goes up, guess what? That means all the money that you're borrowing. So let's say the interest rate is at 1%, and then you go borrow $1 trillion, right? You owe $1 trillion at 1%, but then the interest rates go up to 5%, and you need to borrow another $1 trillion. Now you owe that $1 trillion at 5%. So you owe some at 1%, some at 5%. Yeah. You got what I'm saying? So the higher the interest payments go, the higher the interest rates go, but you still need to borrow money to keep you from going under. Now you're borrowing money at a higher rate. So now your interest rates are accelerating, right? Yeah. That's what the book, The Big Print's about. That's what this, How Countries Go Broke is about. This is why Lynn Alden says nothing stops this train. You're in a debt spiral, right? You're borrowing money, which is taking on debt to pay off old debt. In order to pay on that debt, you're borrowing more money. So you're paying off a credit card by opening another credit card. Yeah. And the next time you open another credit card, the balance is going to be higher because you got to pay for everything you spent plus everything you will spend. Yeah. And the only way to cover that is to open another credit card. You can't do that.
Yeah, we don't got the luxury of doing that.
You don't have the luxury to do that. They can. And all that money that they borrow finds its way into the economy, right? So government spending finds its way into the economy. How? Okay. The government needs to borrow money, and some of this money is going to go to defense. So the government needs to pay Lockheed Martin for their defense contracts. Lockheed Martin needs to pay all these small individual companies. They need to pay private contractors. They need to pay employees. What did the owners of those small companies do? They pay their employees, or they go shop with this company or that company. And eventually it trickles down until it gets to the hands of individual people. Right?
And then all those people go and deposit that money into their bank accounts, and then the money gets loaned out.
This is a smart guy right here, y'all. My boy.
Money gets loaned out.
They got to deposit that money somewhere.
Exactly.
And then that money gets loaned out, right? Every time there's a deposit in the bank, that money gets loaned out. Every time you go spend, even if they got the money and they went to go buy a new car, then that car dealership's going to go deposit that money.
Exactly.
You got what I'm saying? So all the government spending, most of the government spending is going to make its way into the economy. Now you have all this new money competing for those same 70 million houses.
Yep.
For those same however many chickens are slaughtered every year. You got what I'm saying?
It's a complex system so that you don't understand it.
Yeah.
Because if everybody understood it as an ABC type basis, then everybody would be in a riot uproar.
Nah, facts. Or you can say, things are going to be all right. This is America.
Yeah, exactly.
The NBA finals start tonight. Like, bro, these niggas talking about this or that, bro.
Yeah.
Who you got in the finals, OJ? I know you about to lock in, bro. You got in the finals.
I'm not watching that shit.
Hey, but what's more entertaining, y'all? Reading these boring ass, dry ass books talking about the same thing until you truly grasp the concept of what you're dealing with. So if y'all play sports, like I like my sports analogies, if you investing your money and moving your money around, you're calling plays on Madden with no game scenario. You have no idea what the game scenario is. You're just calling a play. Are you going to call, like, I don't know, are you going to go on a spread offense or run a jet sweep on 4th and 30? But you don't even know it's 4th and 30. You're just pressing plays, bro. You're just, I like this company.
Yeah.
I'm investing in
shit.
in GE. Nigga, the economy about to collapse, bro. You need some gold or Bitcoin.
Nah, literally.
You're talking about, I'm about to invest in what? Oh, what stock? I hear you talking about Bitcoin, but what stock should I invest in? You like, hey, bro.
I'm not trying to hear that.
Watch out. Y'all start to understand how important this is? That's why, like, when the tariff wars happen and everyone's panicking, but then Bitcoin goes up.
Exactly. Still, or
this is why Bitcoin is. Yeah. This is why gold is going up, because people are like, "Oh shit, I'm starting to read the play." Now, how you, the leader of your family or the leader of yourself, how do you make plays that are going to keep you safe when shit hits the fan? So when all this money, new money, hits the economy because they keep borrowing money, guess where else it hits? Assets.
Yep.
So assets melt up. So sometimes the big crash that people are looking for isn't assets or everything falling, it's everything getting inflated.
Yeah.
And when things get inflated, that safety net, which is called Bitcoin, runs away from you. So all them stupid people on the internet telling you don't buy Bitcoin at this level, that's their boat, right? The safety net is the boat, right? This is this big giant boat that you could just chill and ride to safety, right? You're leaving one mainland and you're going to that island, which is called freedom and peace. And you know what I mean? So then there's this big boat and it's a long journey. It's going to take you there. It's a 10-year journey. But while you're on this journey, you see people on jet skis. You see people laid out on them Turks,
clear boats,
clear boats, taking pictures, and you start like, damn, they're having fun. I'm on this ride, and the ride is smooth and it's safe and it's secure, but I need a thrill.
And it's moving faster than you think, because when you're on a cruise ship or you're on these boats, these bigger boats, you don't realize how fast the boat is actually moving.
Like when you're in the airplane and you get up to go use the bathroom, like you don't realize you're moving 400 miles, 600 miles an hour in the air.
Exactly.
You just walk to the bathroom like nothing happened, right? But you don't realize like, I'm moving 600 miles an hour, right? It's the same thing when you're on Bitcoin. You don't realize that this asset is growing way faster than anything else. That's why nothing has a better return than it. So anyways, these idiots on the jet skis are going away from the boat and they're doing tricks and they're making highlight tapes for you to watch. Look how cool I am. Look, I did a backflip on my jet ski.
Look how fast I went.
Look how fast I went. Look how many tricks I did. And then they run out of gas, right? So when they were distracting you from Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was 20,000 and now Bitcoin is 105,000, you're 5 times further away. You think they're going to help you recover 5 extra money? No. So I said idiots on the internet. That could be them, or it could be Jamie Dimon,
exactly,
the CEO of Chase, of JP Morgan Chase, is telling you, no, stay away from Bitcoin, stay away from Bitcoin. Okay, then when it 5X's on your ass, is he going to give you whatever you have in your stock portfolio times 5X? No, he's not, bro. These people are talking you away from the safety belt, and they're not responsible for your well-being or the well-being of your family.
And it's like these people that lead you away, like, why would you buy Bitcoin at this price? Like, then months go by and now they're celebrating or they're showing like, oh, Bitcoin is at 150K, but don't buy it 150K. And then months go down, year goes by, it's 250. Like, whoa, Bitcoin's at 250K, but don't buy it at 250. It's like you're telling people not to buy.
All the all-time highs are going to be generational bottoms at one time. You know what I'm saying? Remember when Bitcoin hit 10K? That was an all-time high. Now what would
like,
you?
Hell no, don't buy that 10K ass Bitcoin. That shit all time.
I'll go to war with a small country for a 10K Bitcoin right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, old ceilings become new floors. So you don't, you just stop listening to all this BS. You do the knowledge, you hit buy, and then you go enjoy your life. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of goes to like why we don't make videos every week. Like sometimes we make them every week, sometimes we don't, because we have another life. Like we have an actual life. We're here to help y'all. We're not what were we saying yesterday? Like
we're not here to entertain.
We're not here to entertain y'all. We're here to inform you. So we're not going to make a video about every little thing that happens in the Bitcoin. Whoa, did you hear about this Chinese food restaurant with 2 restaurants in Taiwan that's now buying big? Bro, we're not here to make daily videos about that. You understand the problem, you understand the solution, you understand how to buy the solution, you understand how to protect yourself from people who want that solution from you. That's our job.
Yeah. And like the people who kind of like try to sell people short in the sense that just get to 0.01 Bitcoin, that's all you need, or get to 0.1 Bitcoin or get 0.2 Bitcoin to change your life. Like we're realists. We live in this world. We know like what things cost, what life looks like. So it's like our advice would be get to 1 Bitcoin, because if you're selling yourself short saying 0.01 is enough for me, 0.1, that's 10 grand, that's $1,000. It's like, yeah, that's, you know, money. I'm not going to sit here and act like $1,000, $10,000 isn't no money, but that's not something that would change your life. You know, you're selling yourself short. You should be locking in like, hey, there's people sleeping outside their cars, there's people
sleeping in their
Ubers,
cars, donating plasma.
Yeah,
like Lindsay, shout out Lindsay. I don't know if you watch this, but somebody on Twitter that I follow, she has a corporate job. She drives Uber, and then she has rental properties, and she funnels all that money into Uber. And I mean, she funnels all that money into Bitcoin, funnels all the money into Bitcoin. And I'm just thinking, like, we were on Spaces one day, and I was thinking, I'm like, you know how many people I know that think because they make 6 figures, they can't go get a side hustle?
Yeah.
Or they won't, like, because they don't understand the severity of the problem. Yeah. The severity of the problem is we have a credit card bill that's at its limit, and the only way to pay off that credit card bill is to get another credit card bill. And that's going to send your cost of living higher. But all that new money could benefit you and inflate, like going back to what I was saying about the inflation, that the safety net could help you even more. You got what I'm saying? The big boat could help you even more, because if they're going to flood the economy with new money, some of that money is going to find its way into Bitcoin. And guess what happens when you have all this new money flooding it, find its way into Bitcoin, but you can't make any more Bitcoin? So like something to consider is if you think about how much money they put into the economy from 2020 to 2025, right? Let's say if you go ask ChatGPT or something, maybe it tells you like $4 or $5 trillion. Bitcoin 10x'd from 2020 to 2025. So if the US M2 grew by 4 trillion and we got a 10x in Bitcoin, and they're trying to pass a bill right now that will increase the debt ceiling by 5 trillion, not including what we already have to pay, but just a new 5 trillion, right? Over the next few years, right? And then you think, okay, go ask ChatGPT, how much do you expect the US M2 to grow over the next 10 years, or global M2 to grow over the next 10 years? And they're going to say, well, we expect it to grow 12 trillion. Well, if Bitcoin 10x with 4 trillion, what do you think it's going to do with 12 trillion?
Yeah.
Bro, number go up technology. We already explained that to you.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Shit, that's all I got.
So, so another thing, man, y'all actually, when people are trying to talk you guys out of Bitcoin, ask yourself, are they going to help you and your family and your future children and your future wife or your future husband and your mom as she gets older in age and she needs, more health care? Are they going to help you pay for it? If the answer is no, tell them to fuck off. Nah, bro, I'm serious, bro. That shit crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're talking people out of their wealth. You're
Yeah.
talking people out of
And
their
people,
purchasing
I feel
power.
like people don't even realize that if you're a person who has like an audience and you don't go do the deep dive yourself, you're talking people out of their wealth, because a lot of people just blindly follow people.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not all the way on the creator, because as an individual, you need to go do the research yourself. But a lot of people aren't even willing to do the deep dive themselves.
You ever seen that that Instagram trend where they're like, oh, showing my girl how to work out because summer's approaching, and they make her do the wrong workout?
Yeah.
That's what them niggas is doing to you.
Facts.
They like, because they want to stay wealthier than you.
Mm-hmm.
If you go adopt that Bitcoin standard, they don't. You will get wealthier than them.
Exactly.
Right? They're like like the girl in the reel, for me to explain it, like let's say the girl is doing like arm curl and the guy doesn't want her arms to look good, so he's like, nah, take the curl and do this, like just do something stupid or whatever. That's what people are telling you, like, why would I buy Bitcoin when you could go invest in Disney? Like, hey bro,
Good luck
be for
with
real.
that.
You got what I'm saying? Like, be for real. Like, be for real right now. So this shit is about survival. We care about y'all survival. We care about y'all not just getting by, but living in abundance. Y'all know my saying, right? So consider that, and consider what I'm telling y'all when people are trying to talk you out of buying Bitcoin. Because more Bitcoin equals more purchasing power. More purchasing power equals more freedom. If you have enough money to buy anything that you may want or need, you are free. More Bitcoin is more purchasing power. More purchasing power is more freedom. So anyone talking you out of that, are they going to pay for your mother's health care? Are they going to pay for your kids' tuition? Are they going to put a down payment or buy your children a house?
It shouldn't even be the case where somebody's talking you out of it. If you've done the deep dive yourself, there is
right,
no
bro.
talking
Actually,
you out
you're
of
right.
it.
You're
It's
right.
just
Because
go
somebody
deep-
can talk you out of that.
Yeah, it's
You
like
probably deserve
to be talked out of it.
Yeah.
Somebody can
You're
talk you out
actually,
of
you're
it.
right. You're right.
So
If somebody can talk you out of it, you deserve to be talked about. Because if you can't read a book, understand what you just read, understand the concepts, go verify all the facts, right? Because even what we tell y'all, go verify that. Don't take nothing I say at face value. Go verify anything I ever said, right? Verify everything that he's ever said. So if somebody tells you, it's just like the summer body trend. You got what I'm saying? If they're telling you to do this when you should be doing this, and you listen,
that's on you.
that's on you. You're a grown ass man.
Or a grown ass woman.
Or a grown ass woman. You're an adult. You got what I'm saying? If you over the age of like 15, that's on you.
Grown ass kid.
Grown ass kid. Grown as shit. Just dumb. Nah, because bro, when I was a kid, I felt like I was competent as a kid.
Nah,
you know
I
what I
was
mean?
too.
Like somebody said on Twitter, like, hey, the kids in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, even the early 2000s, just roam around like and not be like helicopter parenting. Bro, you'll wake up, get on your bike, and see your mom before the sun sets. Like, I ain't seen my mom in 12 hours, bro. We outside doing shit. Nah, but you're a grown-ass kid, man. You start learning about this stuff.
Yo.
So anything else you want to add?
Nah, that's it for me.
We apologize for the long delay. So if y'all made it to the end of this episode, we need y'all to say, we forgive you. Me and OJ are asking for forgiveness because we waited a little too long. But we hope y'all got some good information, some practical information. Another thing is, before we go, if you're going to buy a treasure, if you're going to buy, it's TREZOR, if you're going to buy a cold card, if you're going to buy any of those things, buy them directly from their website. Yeah. Don't Google it and take the first ad. Don't go, no, buy directly from their website. Don't even trust Amazon. You got to stay paranoid, man. Only the paranoid survive. I'm Chris, that's OJ, Bit by Bit, episode 9. If you made it to the end of this and you forgive us for taking forever, drop "we forgive y'all" in the comments. All right, we out.
All right. Sheesh.
That wasn't that bad.
Well, I was getting tired at the end.
Bro.
Don't say that shit. No, I'm not reading that.